It's Kabir, and these are the best laptop accessories to help you be more productive while working or learning from home. So let's get right into it. When I say ultimate, I don't necessarily mean overkill, but just very good. And some of these accessories are a little on the pricey side, so I'll discuss more budget friendly options in the video. Keep watching. Right, starting with the RhinoValk laptop stand, adjustable notebook stand for laptop, stable laptop holder, portable computer stand for MacBook Pro / Air, HP, Lenovo, Surface, Dell, Asus laptops up to 17-inch still. And it's presented to you in this shady, beaten up packaging wrapped in bubble wrap. But apart from that, I personally think it's great value. If you haven't understood already, it's a laptop stand that allows you to adjust your laptop to different heights and different angles for a better typing experience. And the height allows the screen to be higher at your eye level, making you sit with your back straight, and it does really help in creating a more ergonomic experience while working. It's good at that, but what I'm not so sure about is the actual typing experience. If you just want a slight angle, it's okay, but as you get to speed, it gets really wobbly even on a 13-inch laptop which I use. So that's something you'd want to keep in mind. And if you really want that stability and extremely high quality, maybe opt for something more expensive. Because even if you're not typing on it, you get it too high and the whole thing actually starts to tip over because the base is too thin and light to handle all the weight. So just be careful if you're going to use this. But for the 100 dirhams, which I'll convert in different currencies right here, it costs, I think it's pretty good value. Another underrated advantage of this stand is airflow. Especially if your laptop has vents at the bottom, this gives them just so much room to breathe and allows you to take out as much performance out of your laptop as you possibly can. Looks decent from far away, but you get close and you can tell that it's not the best finish. But for the price it's at, I would recommend. As always, I have quite a few things I'd like to cover, so I'll leave timestamps below and feel free to skip to a certain part if you'd like, but I'd really suggest you to watch the whole video and see the setup come together. Not because I want more average watch time. Okay, yeah, I want that too. But watch the whole video. Okay, this is where it gets real. These are the Logitech MX Keys and MX Master 3, which have earned their name as some of the best productivity keyboard and mouse combos you can buy, but still don't come without their share of disadvantages. So you might have noticed that these are the Mac-specific versions, and they still do work with Windows, but there are two key differences between these and the cross-platform versions. The first being the fact that they come in this space gray finish to match other Apple products, none of which are in space gray, and the fact that the mouse comes with Mac gestures and the keyboard comes with only Mac specific keys, which, as I said before, you can use with Windows, but there is a slight catch where the command actually becomes the start key and option becomes alt, which is not the way it's supposed to be. And I only found this out while trying to use it with Windows. When I went to alt tab, it would actually hit the start key. It's the right way on the cross-platform version, and I didn't know of this, so I'd recommend most people to get that. But other than that, it's a full-size keyboard with a pretty standard layout that I took little time getting used to, and the only real issue that I had with the layout, and still sometimes have actually, is the fact that the command key on the right falls under the full stop instead of under the comma like it does on the MacBook keyboard. So it might just be me, but that took a little bit of getting used to. But after around 30 minutes of use, I was in a really nice typing flow, and what I think really helped is the key travel. It's a low profile keyboard, so you're not really buying this for the key travel. It doesn't have mechanical switches either, but I think it really does help create a better experience, especially compared to the laptop keyboard. really helps with creating a better experience is keycap stability. And I'm no keyboard nerd, but I think Logitech has absolutely nailed the keycap stability, and it helps in creating a much more consistent typing experience, which I think is more important than the actual key travel. And what helps with that consistency is the solid build. I mean, it's not metal. I know it does look like metal. I thought it was metal until I touched it, but it's a really solid plastic that doesn't flex while typing, so that also helps in creating a consistent experience. But everything aside, what I would really like to see is keyboard angle adjustments. I'm someone who likes to type at around a 35 to 40 degree angle, and I know that not many people do that, and what they've used is probably the sweet spot. But come on, for the $100 that it asks, I think keyboard angle adjustments are a must. I'm really looking forward to seeing that in the next revision. Another thing I'm looking forward to seeing is not image labeling F16 to F19 keys, since they're reprogrammable in the Logitech Options software, which I'll cover later in the video. Having images on them really does confuse me as to what they're really programmed to. So I think in the next revision, what would be better is just labeling them as F16 to F19. And to wrap up talking about the keyboard, the battery life. I haven't used it enough for it to actually die on me. I did charge it after getting it out of the box, and it's rated to about 10 days of battery life with the backlight on and 5 months with the backlight off, which is extraordinary. So you'll have no issues there. And it also supports quick charge, so you can charge it from 0 to 100 in just 4 hours, which I think is pretty good. This is future me editing the video, and I realized that I forgot to mention a really cool feature where if you get your hands around a few centimeters close to the keyboard, the backlight automatically turns on because there are proximity sensors that detect your hand, and they're also surprisingly good at not turning on the backlight when you're just moving your hand across the table and don't intend to type. Both of these accessories also come with USB-C to C cables, and the keyboard comes with a USB unifying adapter, but for some reason the Mac version of the mouse doesn't, which is something you should keep in mind. The keys also have this rounded off top to make typing more natural, but I personally didn't think it made too much of a difference compared to flatter keys. Moving on to what I think makes an excellent pair with the MX keys, the MX Master 3. It's in mine and many other opinions the best productivity mouse you can get, period. And especially from the perspective of someone coming from this, it should be flawless, right? Sort of. But starting with what's good, the left and right click buttons and vertical scroll wheel are an absolute delight to use. The buttons are tactile and easy to press, and the scroll wheel has been over-engineered to its core. Bear with me while I try to explain this. So the way that the wheel works is by using magnets arranged in a way that they repel and create ratchets, so that when you're scrolling slowly, you scroll line by line extremely precisely without making a sound, unlike other mice. And with the press of a button, the mouse actually generates an electromagnetic field that defies that and allows the scroll wheel to move freely. But it doesn't end there. This actually happens automatically as well. So when you're scrolling slowly, the magnets are repelling, and as soon as you scroll fast, the electromagnetic field is generated and the mouse scroll wheel goes into free scrolling. But these being so great is what gets me disappointed about thumb buttons and horizontal scroll. They're not terrible to use by any means and are much better than other mice even in the price range, but after using the left and right click buttons, the thumb buttons just feel really mushy, are much harder to press and just not tactile. I mean, they are usable and I do use them all the time, but not the best experience after experiencing the very tactile left and right click buttons. And same goes for the horizontal scroll wheel. It has none of that ratchets and magnets and electromagnetic field. It's just a standard scroll wheel. Mind you, pretty good quality, but what did get to my nerves is how bad the gesture button is. You might not see it at first, but it's where your thumb actually rests, and it's just extremely hard to press unless you move your thumb to the edge, which I don't usually do. This is how I hold the mouse. Probably not how you're supposed to do it, which is why I ran into another problem of not having anywhere to rest my pinky and ring fingers, because there isn't any protrusion on the right side. Having that would be amazing and give me much more flexibility and make the mouse ambidextrous, because this is right-handed only and they don't make a left-handed version. So, yeah, that's just how it is. But the actual sensor itself is pretty amazing. Logitech claims it can track on transparent glass, which I actually do believe. I've tried it myself and it does work. Admittedly not as good as on a smoother surface, but works great. And I don't really even need to use a mouse pad on a wooden surface. It's not the smoothest, but the sensor can actually handle it, which is great for usability. And so is the amazing battery life. It's rated to 70 days of use, which, at least you can use it while charging. Apple mouse.
No!
If you don't know, you can't actually use the Apple mouse while charging because the port is on the bottom. But not the case with this. It's, I think, more well thought out and cheaper. So the best thing you can get, but still has some, I don't know if I would call them flaws, just usability downgrades. But where both of these products really shine and really come together is in the Logitech Options app. So the first thing you see when you open the app is your connected devices and their battery level, which for some reason is not in a percentage, and that always gets to my nerves. All you get is these 3 bars. And starting with the mouse, you have the option of configuring every single button and scroll wheel. So let's take the gesture button for example. You have quite a few options and pre-made combinations you can choose from, but you can also do a custom combination and apply it to a specific application, which is very convenient, any application on your device. And what's even better is duo link. So for example, I have this button set to wheel mode shift in normal mode, but what duo link does is allows you to change the functionality of any button by pressing the function key and the button. So when I press function and this button, it opens the Logitech Options app, which I use quite a lot, so that's extremely convenient. And here you have the point and scroll settings, and the only interesting thing here is Smart Shift, which is your mouse shifting the scroll wheel setting on its own automatically. You can disable or enable that. I quite like it, so I leave it enabled. And this is the best, Logitech Flow. This allows you to move your mouse cursor between devices running even different operating systems, which is extremely cool. And in this case, since I have the MX Keys keyboard, the keyboard actually moves along with it. So I can copy paste files or text or anything from one computer to another instead of having to email it to myself. And this works fine even on a not so fast internet connection.
It's 13 hours.
Even around 25 to 30 Mbps, it works just fine. Moving on to the keyboard, it's not as many options. You have the option of configuring the function keys, which I said I'm not a huge fan of because they're image labeled, but you can do that. And you can also see what all devices you're connected to. You can be connected to up to 3 devices. And yeah, that's about it.
It might sound like I'm nitpicking, which is good because I am. I can't let anything pass at this price point, which is why here are a few more budget-friendly options. Starting with the Logitech K380 keyboard, which has a lot of the same features as the MX keys at a lower price point and a smaller size. I haven't personally used it, but have heard quite a few good things about it. And 2 mice alternatives are the MX Master 2S, which is the previous version of the MX Master 3, and the only major difference is in the scroll wheel and the buttons, which are in a different layout. And another option you have is the Logitech MX Anywhere 3, which is essentially a smaller stripped down version of the MX Master 3. Again, I haven't used those either, so can't guarantee it, but they do seem pretty good.
Would this really be a Mac accessory video without a USB hub? Well, this is the Ugreen 9-in-1 hub, and as far as I know, it's the only hub on Amazon with these specifications. 3 USB 3.0 ports, gigabit Ethernet, at 4K 60Hz HDMI, VGA, SD card reader, and USB-C power delivery. For those of you who don't know what USB-C hub is, if your laptop is Thunderbolt 3 capable, these are the best accessories you can get for it. They give you so many more ports without taking up any. You see, this plugs into USB-C, but it also has USB-C pass-through, so you can still charge it via the hub. And me being me, the first thing I did was try to max it out, and I used everything except SD card and VGA, which I don't have need for, and it didn't work exactly as expected. But that wasn't the hub's fault. You can use everything except HDMI and VGA at the same time. The problem was with the power adapter that I was using. It was only a 30-watt power adapter, and the hub wasn't able to provide enough power to the laptop as well. So that's actually Apple's fault. Anyway, if you're a MacBook user, this is the best thing you can get for it. And even most Windows laptops nowadays are cutting off ports, so these work great. Last but not the least, the Sony WH-1000XM4s. You know, I've been using them for a long time because I remember the name. No, seriously, I've been using them for almost 3 months now, and they're the best headphones you can buy for the price. Thanks for watching. But they are. They do come with two downsides. The first being the build quality. It's not the best. I've experienced quite a few creaks while putting them on and taking them back off. Even $5 headphones nowadays don't creak that much, and I know that my creaking issue is not the worst. I've seen quite a few Reddit forums talk about this, but a surprisingly less amount of YouTube videos, which is interesting. But apart from that, if you can get over it, which you probably should be able to because the noise cancellation cancels out the peaks as well. The transparency mode isn't the best, especially after trying out the AirPods Max. This is just a very muffled transparency mode, which I don't recommend you to use. It's not like real life. But apart from that, they are truly the best headphones you can buy for the price. Oh, and they're on an all-time low on Amazon right now, so they're an even better deal. Alright, that was it.